Today we have Brad St Onge with us. He's the head of partnership development with Investnext. He has been in real estate investments for almost 20 years. Over the last 5 years, he ran a successful investor relations department, then made the switch to Investnext. That's the portal, I think, for the investors, and where his focus has been on helping IR developments successfully utilize technology to help grow their business. Welcome, Brad. I'm super excited to have you with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Awesome. So you're going to start telling me about where you are today at present, professionally, as well as in your personal journey.
Yeah, perfect. So I run kind of like our partnership department with Investnext. We're an investment management software system, which a lot of people will kind of relate more to an investor portal. So that's essentially on the investor side, but that's typically what we do. So we help syndicators manage their investors and help fundraise, or the act of fundraising. So the process of actually going through a deal room, creating e-signature templates, et cetera, that to help with the actual process of capital raising, which can be a little tedious. So the software does all that stuff, does numerous other things as well. But my day-to-day role is essentially trying to, find new partnerships for like different groups that we can work with to kind of bring more business, bring more awareness for Investnext. And then I also help with customer success whenever I can. So I hop on to help some of our clients if I need to help them learn the portal a little bit better, learn the admin side of the portal to kind of make it easier for them, and essentially try to give them time back by, getting better with the portal to eventually save them time down the road. So I'll work with that, and then I'll work with our sales team too, and hop on some demos if I need to kind of go over what our product is to potential investors and grow the space. And then I've been more focusing lately on going to conferences and meetup events and traveling around. So I really enjoy that. And I've gotten to pop in. I live in Michigan, but I kind of travel all winter because it gets so cold there. So I left in October and I'm in Myrtle Beach right now, but I've been lucky enough to go to some like meetups around here. Went up to one in Charlotte a couple of weeks ago, and then I'll be down in the Orlando, Florida area coming up over the next week, and I'll try to pop into some meetups if I see some around there. And there's a big event, a big conference going on during the week that I'll stop in and see a bunch of people too. So I really enjoy that, and it's I've gotten to the point in my career where that's where I'm kind of focusing to help us try to get our name out there and just try to bring more visibility to our company.
Wow. So a lot of networking events coming up for you. Interesting.
Yeah. Tons of them. And I used to hate that stuff. It's crazy that now I'm like gravitating more towards that. It's, I like meeting people, and it's, you see and hear different stories and see where people are in the life cycle of actually, becoming a GP. So it's interesting to see, and to watch them grow. If some of them actually become clients, then you see where there they are in infancy to, a year later, and you see they're like, wow, this group is, got a couple big apartment syndications under the belt. So it's interesting, and I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's my purpose of life too. Connect with others and help each other grow. I read in your profile earlier that you've been in real estate for 20 plus years.
Yeah,
that was your first job?
I mean, yeah, essentially out of college, that was basically my first job. So I worked for a mortgage company out of college. So I was working for a beer company through like when I was like 14 up through college. I put myself through. So my buddy's dad owned it. Yeah, it was really cool actually. My buddy's dad owned a beer distillery in Port Huron, and I was lucky enough to work there. Just did a ton of different stuff. Like I even got my CDL to drive a beer truck at one point. That's probably the worst truck driver on the road.
What happened between when you were doing mortgage and Investnext? Was there a period in the middle that you did something else? And how did
I started doing commercial, some commercial lending after like 2010. So we started doing some commercial, and then I ended up getting into some investments with a bank. So started doing some investments, and then I had the opportunity to work for a syndicator, and I didn't even know what that was. That was about 6 years ago now, maybe 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And this guy was doing some crazy stuff where he had a fund where he bought he bought, I think we had 33 properties in there, but it started with one property, then he bought another property, and then he bought them independently, and then was like, all right, well, why don't we just put these all in a fund? And then the next property I buy, and it just, we're all diversified in this fund. That way, if one of them goes south, the other ones can hopefully support that. But it was just a kind of a butt kicker. It was just amazing. It ended up 33 properties we had in there. And it was leveraged at like 55% with bank debt. So you had, still 45% of equity on it. It was we'd pay 7.5% pref off of that, and it was paid annually. And then we'd give bonuses after, but we had a bank account where whenever it got up to about 10 million, we'd kick out, a bunch of distributions, but we had a kitty with like 10 million in it. Cause if we were buying industrial parks or big office buildings, and if you have to redo a roof or redo the parking lot, it costs a lot of money. So we never had any capital calls. We just used that kitty. We'd pay them 7.5%. But like I said, we give bonuses, and then once we sold that off, that ended up being pretty good for everyone involved in it. But that was my first run-in of what a syndication is, and just it was a great experience because I sat down and went through all these PPMs and just saw how the PPMs evolved from like each property from one to the next, and see how they all changed, and kind of dove into that, which I would highly suggest, because I don't think a lot of people read their PPMs or they read their operating agreements, because you see those come out and you're but I got really good at it, and really good at like at least in the syndication space, knowing the distribution waterfall, which I think people need to know what they're actually paying out and know it like the back of their hand. But I got ingrained in all that stuff, where I was taught like read all this stuff. So if anyone has any questions, because I was running the investment department there, the IR division, and I had to be able to know to answer that for 33 different properties, because each one paid out a little bit different when you actually sold it off, when it was a capital event. And then we started doing development, where we started funding some deals in the development. So we did some deals in Nashville, Denver, Sarasota, and those one they each had different waterfalls too. So that was interesting too. It's kind of like a development fund with 5 different properties that sold off, and there was different timelines when they sold off of what the investors were getting paid. But it was interesting, and then I had that mindset going in. So we were running it all on Excel spreadsheet, and it just got chaos, as you can imagine. So you have one fund with 33 properties in it. We have a guy that needs a financial statement for his CPA, and we have no way to like show him anything. I had to go through each one of these Excel sheets, with each one of these projects, and see how much he's been distributed over the life of it, how much he's invested, which entities he's invested through. So you'd ask for a spreadsheet, which you think would be easy. It'd take us 2 days to get it back to him because we didn't want to mess it up. We had to link up the different LLCs that he invested through to make sure it was him, and it was just kind of stressful. So we're like, all right, we need a better way to manage all these investors, especially when you get that high. So that's when we were checking the market and found Investnext, because I was living in Ann Arbor at the time, which is right down the road from Detroit, and that's where Investnext is based out of. So met the Investnext guys a few years back. We started working with them, and then I eventually had an opportunity to jump on board and kind of help grow the team and grow the product. So I was kind of falling more in love with that than talking to investors, and I find myself just thinking about different ways to improve the product, and so it was kind of a no-brainer, and hopped on. So that's how I got to where I am today.
I'm going to ask you one question regarding the PPM. Yep. You said a lot of people, they don't read it and they sign it. So what couple things that everybody should do in the PPM or pay attention to while they're going through or skimming through the PPM?
Well, I think syndicators need to know their distribution waterfall, because there's different things. And I see this a lot where they think they're where they're making payments out, and they think, well, here's one comment. So there's typically, I'll see like a distribution cash flow, or like a distributable cash flow model, and then a capital account cash flow model. So those are two things, and typically they're two different things. Sometimes the PPM or the operating agreement may be simple with the distribution, where it's just one, but mostly you'll see, if you look at it, it's like a distributable cash flow. So this is just day-to-day running the property. There may be a pref that gets paid first of X amount, whatever it is. And then there's a kind of a split after that. So it's 70-30. So I'll see some people try to reduce capital where it doesn't actually say that there's a reduction of capital after. It's just a split. So it shouldn't be reducing their capital unless it specifically says that it's a reduction of capital. Where then if you go down to the actual capital event or refinance, so essentially if you refi or sell the property, there's a different waterfall that's 8% pref, and then it's unreturned capital is all given back, and then it's a split after that. So that's when you finally see like the capital event happen where you're reducing capital. Because if you start reducing it earlier, they're getting less pref because that dividend that they're getting should be just a bonus on it. So that's kind of what I'll see sometimes. There's a number of different things, but some just knowing what it actually is and what the difference is between the two. If it doesn't specifically say you're returning capital on those payments, then you probably shouldn't be returning capital. It's just kind of like an additional bonus that they get that's on top of the pref. So that's kind of one quick example of what I typically see. So if we see that, we'll kind of point it out, but our system, our waterfall, will prevent that from happening if you set it up correctly. And usually we'll kind of help them set that up. So like, all right, this is how I read it. And I'll always kind of default and give my little attorney legalese stuff where I'm like, I'm not an attorney, but this is what I'm reading and this is what I'm seeing. You can always default back to your attorney and have them, go over this with you. But this is, I'm seeing A and B, and you're kind of trying to do something that I don't see. But once again, I'm not an attorney, so I would always default them back. But I'll try to give my opinion whenever I see them kind of maybe going down the wrong path.
Let me ask you a question about the Investnext now. So can you tell me a little bit about your portal, because you can manage the investor relations and also you can do the capital raise through your portal, if I understand correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So you can, and that's one of the highlights. And it's like crazy to where, 3 years ago, you couldn't do that stuff. It was essentially like a glorified Excel spreadsheet where people could just go see it. And it was like, all right, this is really cool. They could see their investments. And then a lot of our clients and everyone are like, all right, let's push the boundaries here. So, so it's just, even the last year, it's just evolved so much more from like what capital raising used to be. But essentially, like you said, yeah, you can build out as a sponsor, a general partner, a syndicator, you can build out a deal room and then showcase that. So that would be like a current offering you have, and then showcase that to all your investors on your website, on your portal. And they can log in, they can actually view it, they can see all the legal documents that you want to disclose to them. So you can have the PPM, you can have a pro forma, et cetera. You can show all that, and then they can actually invest through the portal, so they can execute all their documents. The portal can manage all that and store all those documents. You don't have to email them back and forth anymore. They can send and actually fund their position or their investment with you through the portal. So they can send ACH through the portal, and the portal will reconcile that transaction. So you don't have to go to the bank and then come back and reconcile it back in the portal. So it'll mark when the funds are received, and then they can start earning pref based off that time. And then same as when you're managing it 3 months, 6 months down the road, the property starts producing some income, and you want to start kicking those distributions back out to the investors. You can send those back out through the portal as well, and then the system will track all that, so you can get up-to-date, current, real-time metrics when the investors log in. They'll be able to see how much they've been paid back. Was it a pref? Was it a dividend? Was it a return of capital? And then it'll track all that and give them visibility in their end. So they have a little more assurance and transparency between you and your investors, and I think it gives them a little bit, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like builds that relationship to where if they want to refer friends or family, it's like they feel better because they say, all right, look at this, they've got this cool portal that you can actually track where the investment was, where it is now. And I think it makes that referral process a little bit easier too, for them to see that, because they can see it, feel it, touch it, kind of thing. That's what exactly, most people want to do. So they can actually, that helps with that aspect. At least we've found that. And I think ultimately referrals are going to come down to, are you taking care of them? And is the investment paying what you said it was going to invest mostly? And then if it's not, are you still giving them correspondence or keeping up with the communication and keeping them in the loop? So I think there's a number of things that help with the referrals, at least.
You said we can do the capital raise with your portal too.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting you say it. So we have the ability you can send updates and communication to the portal, and we'll get some feedback on this. So we've kept it separate. So what happens is you'll send an update or a notification on your property, and they'll get a notification saying, hey, Brad, there's an update for, Alto Group Fund One or whatever. And we've been pretty specific on not having that update viewable through that email. And the reason for that is we want them to go to the portal and log into the portal, because they may not have seen you have a new offering. So once they go to the portal, that update's going to be at the very bottom of that first screen, so they can see it. But the newest offerings are going to be right at the top, so it's the first thing they see. So it's going to drive them back to the portal. They log in, and then we're hoping if you have an offering, maybe they haven't seen it, and then that's another kind of touch point of, oh wow, they got another thing going on right here. Let me look at this, and they can click that, or they can scroll down to the actual update. So that's it's interesting you say that, because we get some feedback on that. We haven't really changed that, but we like driving investors back to the portal, and that gives them a reason to go back to the portal. Documents, K1 season's around the corner. That gives them a reason, because whenever you upload that to the portal, they'll get a notification that the document's there, and they can log in this secure environment and actually obtain that. But then once again, they may see an offering that they didn't know you were raising capital for. So good question there.
Oh, interesting. What kind of response or feedback that you get from the customers that they have to click on a link in the email and then takes them back to the portal to see the offering or the new offerings or the existing, details, whatever they're getting on their, existing investments, versus seeing everything in the email? Some people, they don't like that. Some people, they don't want it to leave their email, go to a different portal to get all that information. They wanted to see
right.
one pager thing right here. I want this information. Why do I have to click on this thing, go somewhere else to find that information?
We do get that. Yeah. So it's kind of like 6 in one, half dozen the other. So we're trying to bridge that to see what might be, maybe we tease them with, a paragraph, and then they have to click to finish reading it. If it's a longer update, we like the way it is, but we are getting pushback of like, hey, some people want to actually see it. But to your original point, there's some value in driving them back to the port. You have this portal. There's a few things that are going to require them to actually sign in. K1s, they'll want to sign in. If they're setting up ACH, so we drive them there to actually do their own ACH. They set it up. But that drives them back to the portal, gets adoption back to the portal. So hopefully they see another capital raise. And updates we found is something that they want to see. So they want to, drives them back to the portal versus them just never ever logging in or going. So we want to give them a reason to log in versus them just seeing everything outside. So who knows, maybe eventually we'll show more of the update, but that's kind of like an internal discussion that we have, and we'll get some feedback every once in a while, but that's kind of the reasoning behind it.
Are you gonna stick with Investnext for a while now? So this is kind of a long-term goal for you going forward now?
Yeah, it's been, it's interesting. It's been, I think, October of 2020, which is crazy. It's 2022. It seems like it's going so quick. That was one of the aha moments where, there was 4 of us at the time just grinding every day. And we started just like our referral basis has been amazing with people that have used the portal and they refer friends or refer LPs that want to be GPs. But at that point, we started taking, investor or clients from some of the ones that have been around the space. And we're like, to me, that was crazy, because we have these big companies that have been around forever doing these softwares. We don't have time to try to poach anyone. They're trying to poach our people all the time, because they'll send us emails anytime someone tries poaching us. And that was like, wow, we're onto something pretty cool. And that was a good feeling, because we started just didn't try, and we're still not to the point where we're really trying, because we're just so busy with referrals and just kind of an influx of possible investors that, we'd love to always have more investors, but we just haven't gone out and started poaching because we just haven't had time. But it's like, wow, we've got something that's pretty cool, and it's pretty interesting. So seeing this thing out to the end, I think is definitely something that I want to do. And it's always groups like yours or groups, a lot of our clients push us, and it changes daily. Like where we are now, it's going to be completely different a year from now. The portal is going to be the stuff that it does versus 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's crazy that were even accepting ACH because no one, there was one
I
other
know.
company doing that. And then everyone else will start doing it. But like even sending ACH, some companies still aren't doing that, which is crazy. And then we're embedding accreditation, third-party accreditation in the software. So we're like coding that right now. So that should be done,
Nice.
I'm hoping by the end of the quarter. And there's a couple other things that we're kind of thinking of that's like, all right, how do we do this? How do we do this? But it just could be, it's just crazy to where it could be in another year or two, but it's everyone and it goes back to that mindset of, I have an idea of how to raise capital, and this is, if I'm tunnel vision, this is what it is. But then if you open up your mind and you just get feedback from all these people of like, wow, that's interesting. We haven't heard that feedback before, but let's diagnose it. And then we start hearing it from other people. It's like, all right, let's try to adopt this or maybe add it to the portal. And because if it's good for one person, probably it's good for another, other people that haven't told us. So, it's been interesting. Yeah.
So what are you finding best for you guys, the tunnel vision versus the cumulative effort with others' feedback?
Cumulative, but a conversation about the cumulative, because there's a lot of stuff that, and a lot of it's good, but how quick can we turn that idea
into action?
Is it something that's going to take a lot of coding for something that maybe this specific person's only going to use, or is it something that's maybe a little coding that everyone can use? And let's quickly do that, because there's a lot of little things that different people do. But there's a lot of things. Like I'll wake up some days and think, all right, we need to change a lot of stuff. Like, how do we get to do this and change all this stuff? Or then there's some days I'm like, wow, this is, we've got a pretty cool thing here that's at a pretty good spot, but it's always like, all right, we got to keep fixing and changing and doing stuff. Just, you got to keep adapting, even though a lot of people don't want to adapt, but we still have to keep, like, even if we think it's perfect, our CEO will come up with some ideas like, let's change this. And usually my internal instinct is, no, let's not change that. That's like, everyone's using this and it's working perfectly fine. But then there's an end goal that I don't see. That's like, all right, that makes sense. So it's just kind of opening your mind, and it's like either just don't be too stubborn to just be set in your ways. So
where do you see Investnext in the next 4 to 5 years? What is up in the horizon for you guys?
I mean, we'll have, like I said, there's a lot of cool things we'll be doing, and I don't know if the blockchain is going to change a lot of that. With like, I know they're doing some cool stuff with documents like contracts. So hopefully the process gets a lot smoother, because I mean, we use HelloSign. You can do it and create templates in the portal, but it's just it's not that fun, and it's tedious. But once you do it once, you can always replicate it on the additional ones. But it's just, is there a better way for that? So I'm sure that'll do it. I mean, will we be accepting like crypto? I don't know. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if all these different platforms were doing crypto. I think the goal is to maybe have some sort of like Investnext environment where we have, maybe we have commercial brokers that are associated, and you're finding off-market deals. I mean, just to try to be like a marketplace where GPs or syndicators go to kind of find out more information, I think would be really cool. So that's kind of stuff we, kind of been, coffee talk, or what do they call water bottle talk, whatever they call it. But that's kind of stuff that we're doing. But I imagine we're going to continue the growth. There's still a ton. I mean, this industry is still in its infancy. I mean, it essentially started with the Jobs Act of 2012 to open this up where everyone starts syndicating. So it's 10 years old. I mean, another 5 years, it should be crazy the amount of stuff that's going on. So we'll see what the SEC, if they're going to change any guidelines, or be interested about the co-sponsor stuff, if they change any of that, see where co-sponsor goes down the road. Reg A, Reg CF, we're kind of looking at those stuff too, and just offering more stuff. I mean, could you make it? Could you tokenize everything? I know there's companies trying to tokenize some stuff, and then so if I'm an LP and I want to sell off, portions of my $50,000, could I make that liquid versus the illiquid thing? And then what does that look like? I mean, who knows? These are kind of things we've thought about, but it's haven't really spent too much time and just kind of like, where does this go? Where does this go? I think, like I said, I mean, 3 years ago, the last 3 years isn't going to be anything compared to what like 5 years from now is going to be. I think the whole industry is just going to drive us to do a better job, which we've had some. Ultimately, it comes down to our clients, I think, and a lot of their feedback of like the ideas that they have. And as long as we adapt to that feedback, I think we'll be.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll be in a pretty good spot. So
you've been doing tons of things, Brad. And I wanted to ask you, what keeps you inspired?
I think it comes down to I don't know. It's just always been driven. Like wake up early. I go to the gym early in the morning, so I'll go hit the gym, and then I'm usually done by that about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Then I'll start working and just trying to knock the day out. But I think it's, a lot of like work hard, play hard. I try to do as much in like a little period of time, and then take a little break, and then I'll follow up with a ton more. But I think there's like that work-life balance where I like to work hard earlier in the day and then be reactive, after lunch, which then allows me to kind of like dip away for a little bit. So I golf a ton, and I like my free time. So I like to travel a lot, as I'm doing right now. So, at least, and I think a lot of people are just and I work hard, and everyone we work with works hard, but it's like, you can work hard and smarter and be more productive, take a little time off, then work hard again. And then I'll work at home at night when I'm sitting around just watching TV or something. But I get away a lot during the day, where I'll go, go for a walk for an hour, or like I said, I'll go hit golf. I'm down here in Myrtle Beach. I'll go hit golf balls if it's nice out for, a half hour or an hour. But I really enjoy at least getting out and getting some sun on my face and just kind of traveling and seeing stuff versus just sitting in front of a computer from 9 to 5 and then just punching out and then just watching TV. So I think and that's kind of what's got me here. So I've gotten to the point where it gives me now I have a little more leisure, and Investnext's been amazing because we all work remote. As long as you're doing your job, I mean, we are expected to kind of work, but it's not, all right, work 9 to 5. It's like, are you productive? Are you working? I work probably the earliest. But I get a ton done because no one's bugging me. And then during, I may take an hour lunch or 2-hour lunch or whatever. I might go see clients and take a couple hour lunch. But I think that's the way I effectively work better. And I think just that the leisure is good. My family, I'm not married, I don't have kids, but my brother, my sister have kids, and it's just spending as much time with them. They're essentially, some of my, they're like my kids, but I don't have kids. And I spend a lot of time, either texting them or going to their games or seeing them and hanging out with them. So that brings me a lot of joy whenever they text me and tell me about something, and I don't have to bug them, if they tell me about a game they had or something they saw or something. So that's just kind of the little stuff in life that kind of brings me joy. Nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting. Just want to work and then enjoy my life and kind of get on with it. So.
Wow, living the life. That's what I would say. Enjoying the process, right? Not just waiting to get somewhere, then enjoy, versus enjoying the process on daily basis. I think that's what the true living is. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And I think we see a lot of that in Michigan. So I live up in Michigan, and then I travel all winter, and everyone is like what they call snowbirds. So a lot of like the older people go down south because it's too cold up there, and they go down to warm up. But when they go down south, like everyone's can't wait to retire because then they're going to travel. But then everyone goes down south, and then they just sit in their trailer or wherever they sit in their house down in Florida and just sit inside and watch TV.
Exactly.
They're not doing it. They're not traveling. So am I going to be the same way? Who knows? So I want to get my traveling, at least go travel. Hopefully I don't stop, and hopefully I still keep going out. But if it is, at least I'll have gone, to every state in the country, and I'll been around and at least done a ton of stuff. And why not do it now versus wait till I'm 75 and then I don't want to do it. I just want to watch Jerry Springer all day or something. Because that's what I see with like my parent, where it's just like I don't blame them. If you want to sit there and do your routine, that's cool. I may be that person. So I'm trying to get out and have fun and see stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I believe in that too. Do it right now, because time is now. Why wait?
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to look like 20 years from now. We're not going to be the same person. So might as well do it right now. If you have the choice, you have the chance to do it. Why not?
I agree.
Share one golden nugget with our audience.
I think having an open mind of who you meet, and then at least sticking around with the friends that are gonna be in the same circle as you and kind of want to go in the right direction as you. I used to hang around some friends that maybe were going in a different direction, and you don't have to, break up with them. But I think if you just, and I think life as you get older, you kind of do this on your own anyway, but you start, find those friends that are going the same direction and hop in the car with them and just kind of like, all right, I'm going to hang out with these people or talk to these people on a more regular basis or text these people on a regular basis, and then just slowly cut out the negative people. I've had to do that with a few different people. And I think that's just helps your mind too. And if you're around miserable people that are complaining all the time, and it's tough to kind of walk away from them or kind of break up with them, just, I've had to I've had to kind of like get away from it, because you find yourself, you'd be in a good mood, and then you hang out with the person, you're like, I've known this person forever, but they're just negative all the time. You're like, well, I can't, like, I find myself then getting negative about other stuff. So it's just, finding those friends or those colleagues or people that are going in the same direction as you, and then just go along with them. And then, and I think your life just gets a little bit better. It's tough to cut people off, but I think a lot of people do that anyway. You would think so. And I think mentorship. So I've had a couple of good mentors that I've worked for, and one thing at least work. So this is kind of like my work nugget is, I didn't come from money, and I didn't have a lot of money, and I lost money in 08, 09. I lost everything I had because I was buying properties. It all went south. But so how I got back into it is when I started for the syndication company, was I started learning from a mentor, and actually you could earn GP from kind of your knowledge or from what you're doing. So you can actually get equity in deals if you take less pay. So it's like, all right, I'm going to take, and other people that want to be syndicators can do this too. So they can, if they haven't done a deal, they could, sign out with someone like yourself or someone who's been doing it and say, all right, I don't know, but I'm willing to help you with your investor relations or help you with asset management and learn this stuff. And I'd be willing to do that for free, but maybe get a little bit of GP or kind of learn. And that's kind of how I got started with it there too, is I wasn't getting, a huge salary, but I was, had the possibility of earning some GP on it. And I learned a ton from it. But I think there's a lot of people that you can piggyback off and learn that from. And I see it on my end where there's a couple of different like co-GPs or people on their team now that are, sacrificing their income, but they're going to get a bigger payout with it when that property actually sells out. So I think finding a mentor is good, or even better, finding someone that you can kind of tag along with, learn, kind of like work life experience, learn, and then maybe get paid down the road if you sacrifice a little bit of income. But it's a good way to learn the process.
You're so right, because a mentor helps you strategize everything in your life, not just the work only, even helps you strategize your thoughts. So this all brings us to our final round, the rapid fire round. I have 5 questions for you.
I'm terrified.
You have to answer in one sentence or one word only. Okay.
All right.
Are you ready?
Can I fail or no?
Who was the most influential person in your life?
My brother.
What is the best book you have read or recommend?
I like Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey.
What is your biggest passion?
Adventure.
In one word, what does life mean to you?
Family.
What is your favorite food?
Junk food.
Awesome. So how can people reach out to you?
Brad St Onge would be good on Instagram, but you can hit me up I'm on LinkedIn as well, Brad St Onge, or brad@investnext.com.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been awesome.